The Albanese government has suffered a big setback in the Senate over its $10 billion housing fund. A vote to establish it has been delayed by the Greens, but Labor warns the pushback provides them with the pathway for an early election.
In the People's House, the Prime Minister turns up the heat on the Greens.
They want to build their profile, we want to build more homes. At least have the guts to vote against it.
Hours earlier, the unusual union of the Greens and the Coalition teamed up to delay debate on the $10 billion housing fund until mid-October.
We will put this bill off until the Prime Minister comes back from National Cabinet with a plan to help renters.
This is a new low today.
Maybe you might find that things actually go through this place a little bit better if you actually do your homework.
Axis of evil that we saw.
It's the latest twist in the Senate standoff. The proposed fund would create 30,000 homes over 5 years. No vote will take place now until after National Cabinet meets to discuss ways to tackle rising rents.
Wall-to-wall Labor states on the mainland, you could deliver for real people right now.
The Greens feel emboldened to push for further concessions, including a rental freeze, after the Prime Minister's surprise $2 billion investment in social housing directly to the states.
The response from Labor has been everything is impossible until they change their mind.
The Housing Minister says the delay comes at a cost.
We're talking about every day delayed past 1 July is $1.3 million a day that we are not spending on social and affordable housing.
Well, that's just not true. It doesn't build a single home until after the next federal election in 2025.
Labor is frustrated the Greens once again delayed discussing the bill rather than simply voting against it. So much so, Don Farrell says this constitutes the first trigger for a double dissolution election.
The government will regard this as the Senate failing to pass the bill, and I'm sure you understand the consequences of that.
Well, if that's where it ends up being, then that's what we'll fight.
Labor would need the Senate to block the fund for a second time after waiting 3 months in order to head to the polls early. The Greens daring Labor to pull that trigger.
Bring it on, right? Like if that is Labor's approach, then Labor will be going to the next election saying to the public that they want rents to keep rising and rising and rising.
Trudy McIntosh, Sky News, Canberra.